Regular session of the Oconee County Board of Education to order. First item of business, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Mr. Burgess?
Second.
Mr. Ransom, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we need a motion to approve the minutes from our public millage hearing number 1 on July 1st, our public millage hearing number 2 on July 1st, our regular session, July 8th, our public millage hearing number 3 on July 8th, our special session on August the 5th, the August the 5th work session. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Hammond? Second. Ms. Parrish, all in favor? Next, we have recognitions. Mr. Colquitt.
Thank you, Ms. Argo. Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. We have a large group of people to recognize tonight, our first opportunity to do so in the ISC. So if you'll join us up front, we'll bring those folks forward. Angela, first slide, please. Before we start, I'll note the art display this month is provided by North Oconee. Their instructor is Kathy Warren. We'll have the images on the screen in front of us tonight. They also will be on the monitors out in the hallway. Angela, could you do the next 2 slides, please? First tonight, the board will recognize the 2024 Georgia Science and Engineering Fair awardee from Malcolm Bridge Middle, Anaga Macheri, who earned second honors in overall fair. The advisor is Elizabeth Patrick. Next, the board will recognize the 2024 Class 4A Girls Soccer State Runners-Up from North Oconee High School. The players are Sarah Carey, Taylor Kelly, Ellery Hatcher, Ellen Pasternak, Olivia Maddox, Frances Kelly, Blake Whipking, Aubrey Patterson, Helen Galante, Avery Snodgrass, Daisy Alonzo, Sophia Bustamante Galizzi, Sutton Haynes, Ava Caldwell, Grace Maddox, Ansley Prell, Morgan Mareely, Kyler Hammond, Lexi Lindsay, Hannah Rector, A.C. Lyons, and Kendall Schlossberg. The coach is Ben Grassmeyer. Next, the board will recognize the 2024 Class 4A Boys Golf State Champions from North Oconee. The players are Frederick Chappell, Zach Wiley, Cole Rossick, Peter Sposato, Brooks Cass, Colin McKinney, Mark Staniland, and Sam Carden. The coaches are Jackson Huckabee and Josh Dillard. Next, the board will recognize the 2024 Class 4A Girls Golf State Champions from North Oconee High School. The players are Haley Ade, Peyton Herndon, Kaylin Sprague, Catherine Wagner, Charlie Davis, Aubrey Hill, Gracie Boswell, Josie Bufford, Haley Moffitt, Kyler Hammond, Chloe Hess, and Olivia Weaver. The coaches are James Hedrick and Rob Melton. Next, the board will recognize the 2024 FFA State Awardees from North Oconee. Emmy Walker, who placed first in Agri-Science Fair Plants Systems, and Haley Parsons, who came in second in Junior Prepared Public Speaking. The advisor is Tim Griffith. Finally, this evening, the board will recognize the 2024 American Rocketry Challenge National Finalists from Oconee County High School. Benjamin Sayers, Malcolm Cohen, Samuel Cohen, Peyton Mitchell, Bryce Kimsey, Sahil Doshi. The advisor is Bradley Sayers. And that concludes recognitions for this evening. Okay, so does Peter know?
Next on our agenda is Points of Pride, and we welcome Mr. Carter.
Go Titans. Good evening, Dr. Branch, members of the board. We're excited to be here tonight to spotlight North Oconee High School. I'm Mr. Carter, the proud principal of North Oconee High School, and we appreciate the opportunity to share some exciting news from last year and highlight a specific program at North Oconee High School this evening. I would like to begin by complimenting the entire North Oconee community for their hard work last year, which is evidenced by our performance in the classroom and in all extracurriculars. I also want to thank our administrative team, Mr. Dallas, Ms. Moon, Dr. Ryan. They've been tremendous starting the year, and it's going to be an awesome year. We had a fantastic beginning of the 2024-25 school year, and we appreciate all of your support. North Oconee prides itself on three focus areas: rigor, relevance, and relationships that we promote in the classroom and all extracurriculars. We strive for rigorous instruction to provide students with optimal learning experiences that will prepare them for post-secondary life. We also maintain that instruction should relate to the real world and make connections to make learning interesting. This increases opportunities to extend the learning and make lasting impacts after high school. And the most important pillar of our instructional relationships that we create between students, teachers, and parents. Our staff knows that creating a positive working relationship will increase student engagement and motivate students and make learning and the environment the best it possibly can be. Now I'd like to share a few highlights from this past year. Our 2024 graduation rate was 99%. We had 5 state championships, and that's 20 over the past 4 years. 3 state runner-ups and 12 area and region winners. Next slide. We also had 96% of our students on our AP highlights took an AP exam and scored a 3 or higher, which is a record number of test takers, 555. 95% of all exams received or taken scored a 3 or higher, and that's a record number as well at 1,322. And we had a 100% pass rate in 12 different subjects. Now I'd like to introduce the stars of tonight's show, Ms. Katie Avery and NOHS senior Raina Zhao, who are representing NOHS FCCLA to highlight this program tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for Superintendent Dr. Branch and the board for welcoming us here tonight. I'm honored to be the ECE Pathway Teacher at North Oconee High School, as well as the FCCLA Advisor. Next slide. The Early Childhood Education Pathway prepares students for careers and working with young children and promotes the mission of North Oconee High School to teach, inspire, transform, and nurture students with rigor, relevance, and relationships. Students learn developmental ages and stages of development, educational theory, and gain hands-on skills in their experiences at their internship program with local preschools and elementary schools. Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America is a career and technical student organization that promotes leadership and development as an extension or enrichment of our pathway. Next slide. FCCLA is a student-led organization providing this enrichment opportunity, and it directly enhances the quality of the ECE pathway. CTSOs are the perfect pair for our CTAE courses. School involvement in CTAE pathways and student organizations results in workforce preparedness as our students become members and build their resumes for their bright future. Next slide. Students carry the vision and mission of the school into the CTSO in the following ways: competitive events that explore the content and curriculum at a deeper level, helping our community in ways that are of relevant need, and building authentic relationships with one another to feel connected and proud of our club and our school. Over the last 4 years, I've gotten to know Raina Zhao as a student, FCCLA member, chapter officer, and chapter president. She has accomplished amazing things with our club, and I welcome her here tonight to share these experiences and what FCCLA means to her. Next slide.
Good evening. It is an honor for me to be here tonight and represent the North Oconee High School FCCLA chapter. FCCLA encourages students to explore areas of interest within the field of education and family and consumer science. We carry the mission of early childhood education into FCCLA by community service, community events, competitive events, traveling, and leadership. Next slide. Some highlights of our community service over the years include wrapping birthday mugs for children who are on supplemental nutrition for the Oconee Area Resource Council, Food for Kids campaign, and Secret Santa. Next slide. Community events are also a big part of our club activity where it helps out with our travel expenses. We would have concession stands at sporting events, Christmas candle sales, and our annual Princess Tea Party. Next slide. Another big involvement opportunity within our club are the competitive events. We have different conferences throughout the year, from fall rallies all the way to national conferences. This year, our FCCLA knowledgeable team competed and became state champion at the Fall Leadership Conference. The multiple chapter members participated in the regional star event competition, where members and officers had the chance to explore their field of interest that varies from nutrition to interior design, with some advancing to state conferences. By the end of the state leadership conference, our sports nutrition star of the team, Brandon Xiao and Niti Patel, got second place and successfully advanced the national leadership conference taking place in Seattle, Washington, where they placed overall third place. I had the opportunity to compete at a national leadership conference for my past 3 years within FCCLA, where I got to travel to San Diego, Denver, and Seattle. These conferences and events allow me to truly connect with others, not only from the state of Georgia, but also around the nation, where I got to learn new cultures and traditions. Of course, all of those events and projects cannot be done without leadership. But what is a true leader? Throughout my 4 years at North Oconee High School, I learned that leaders do not simply assign tasks to team members. By working alongside diverse groups of individuals, I have gained a deeper understanding of different perspectives and the value of collaboration, such as our monthly officer meeting, where I get to hear different ideas from different officers. To me, a true leader needs to lead by example, fostering a safe environment for all my team members, allowing them to express their feelings openly. Each event and task has contributed to my growth as a leader, teaching me how to inspire and motivate others, while also recognizing the importance of listening and supporting my team members to eventually achieve organization goals. Before I pass it back to Ms. Avery, I want to thank her and North Oconee High School for sponsoring and supporting this organization, allowing more students like me to develop more critical skills that they can carry beyond their high school years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raina. You're a wonderful leader for our FCCLA chapter, and we're very proud of your accomplishments, not only with FCCLA, but HOSA, Science Olympiad, AP test scores, and work-based learning. CTAE courses, CTSO activities, and these student enhancements would not be possible without the support of Oconee County Schools and our Board of Education. Thank you for inviting us here tonight, Mr. Carter, to share our story.
Thank you, Ms. Avery and Raina. Let's give them a round of applause. It takes a lot for students and teachers to come up and present to the board, so I thank you guys for doing that. It's a wonderful organization. Appreciate your support, and we're going to have a great year at North Oconee High School. Next slide. Go Titans.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Next on our agenda is presentations and discussions. First, we have business services. Welcome, Mr. Adams.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. Our business service report for tonight contains 8 items of information and no action items. Our first information item is our July cash balance report, as you can see on the screen. Next slide. Next is our fiscal year 2024 June vendor report. As you know, we're going to have 2 reports tonight for June and July for our vendors. When we first met last month, the report wasn't ready on time because of the start time of the meeting. So that's what this is. And the next slide is our July vendor report. Next slide. Our fourth item of information is our July budget report. Revenues and expenditures are where we would expect to be at this point of the year. Next slide. Next is our June ELOS collection report. This is our 5th item of information. We do have a slight decrease of a 0.61 for the month, but year over year, we are a 10.25 increase. So our collections are very strong for the last 2 months. We hope that continues. Next slide, please. Next is our ELOS 6 report. This is our 6th item of information, and revenue and expenditures have been updated through July 30th. First. Next slide is our July federal funds report. There's not a lot of activity on these slides right now, and you go to the next slide, please. And the next one. As you can see, this is reimbursement-based grants, and we just got the fiscal year started, so we'll start to see those come in the next few months. Our next item of information is, and our last item, is a millage rate update. And we were notified just a couple of hours ago by our tax commissioner, Jennifer Riddle, after she contacted the Department of Revenue. The ad for the August 16th hearings that was in the Oconee Enterprise, which is the county's legal organ, is not compliant with the Georgia Code of 30 square inches. We reached out to the Oconee Enterprise to inquire about our ad, and were informed that an employee of the Oconee Enterprise changed the ad size after the proof was approved by the publisher, Michael Prohaska. When we validated the size was not compliant, we reached out to the Department of Revenue. I spoke to Mr. Kenny Colson. He's the Assistant Director of Tax Oversight in the Local Government Division. He informed us that the ad would not be in compliance with the code section 48532. Mr. Colson said we could file a request for a waiver, but he was not aware of a successful waiver being granted. So we have both requested the waiver and reserved ad space to run in this week's enterprise. Mr. Colquitt will personally review the advertisement at the legal organ. If we are granted the waiver, Dr. Branch will notify the board and we will proceed as planned with our hearing dates that were scheduled for this Friday. Our original plan that was approved by the Department of Revenue came about after we were notified by our tax commissioner and the Department of Revenue that there was a technical reporting discrepancy regarding the July 1st hearing dates. We are committed to resolving this matter, and we will hold 2 additional hearings. We are committed to doing that, and we will hold these 2 additional to ensure we move forward appropriately. That is why, if we are granted the waiver, these will still go on as scheduled on Friday, August 16th, the first one at 10 a.m. and the second at 2 p.m., to be followed by a special session at 2:30. The 2:30, we will ratify the millage rate, and the Department of Revenue further stated that the July 8th hearing that we did meet its guidelines. If the waiver is unsuccessful, we will hold the meetings on August 23rd at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., and followed by a special session at 2:30. We are still recommending a millage rate of 14.25 for the fiscal year 25. And that concludes my report unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Burgess?
Peter,
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I understood what you just reported to us, because I hadn't heard this before. When we asked the Oconee Enterprise to run our ad for the public hearings, because of the advice that we had gotten from the Department of Revenue previously, did we give them instructions on what the size, the legal size of that ad needed to be based on Georgia law?
Yeah, we gave them that, we told them we wanted the ad size that was approved for the June 27th publication, which met all the requirements of the Department of Revenue.
And because they were unable to follow those instructions and literally print an ad the right size, after us asking them the right size to print, Revenue is telling us that we may have to, unless our appeal is approved, we'll have to redo the hearings and go through the process of resetting the millage again?
We'll have to ratify the millage, yes, sir. We'll have those meetings move back a week. And the ad, just so you understand, an ad space is 5 by 6 is the 30 square inches. They ran the ad at 5 by 5, so it was an inch short.
Did you get any apology from the paper for them being unable to follow that simple instruction?
No, sir. No, we did not.
You know, this paper has been very critical of the board over the last couple of years for a lot of issues. Most of them I take issue with. But this seems to be just one where they can't seem to follow a simple instruction to run an ad the right size, and because of that, we're going to have to go through a whole separate process to set the millage. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood what was going on. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm just interested, did we get charged for a 5 by 5 ad or a 6 by 5 ad?
We're in the process of finding out exactly what we're going to be paying for.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all.
Next on our agenda is communications to the board. Mr. Colquitt.
Thank you, Ms. Argo. We have several people signed up to address the board this evening. Before I call them forward, I'll read this. The board allows 3 minutes for those who sign up at the meeting. You must be a current resident of Oconee County to address the board. Please state your name, address, and topic. The board requests that you refrain from making any disparaging remarks about school system personnel. Generally, there will be no response to comments or questions posed by citizens at the meeting. All comments and questions will be taken and received and taken under advisement by the board. However, any member of the board shall be free to respond and make public comments if he or she elects to do so. To any citizen wishing to provide documents for Board of Education members, please submit them to me, the Director of Communications, before the meeting or prior to addressing the board. Please remain at the podium during your public comment time. Our first speaker is Randall Brown.
Welcome.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, board members, Dr. Branch. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak tonight. And I also want to thank those who have given us a reason to come and speak tonight to you about the importance and the value of student organizations. And as we've seen tonight, our student organizations are very important to our students, to our community. They do lots of wonderful things. And they also achieve many great things for which they deserve recognition. And so it's great to see all of that tonight. And so one of those student organizations that I'd like to speak about tonight is our faith-based student organizations, more specifically FCA. And so when I think about FCA, I just want to begin by sharing a little bit about what their vision and mission is. And so the vision of FCA is to see the world transformed by Jesus Christ through the work of their coaches and their athletes. And their mission is to lead every coach and athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and the church of Jesus Christ. And so when we think about those two items, their vision and their mission, that actually matches up with some things from the Bible. And so a lot of the things I'm going to say tonight will come from the Bible. I won't quote the scriptures for you, but I'll just, because of time. But two of those commands that Jesus gave to his disciples were to preach the gospel, the good news, to every living creature, and to also make disciples of all nations, teaching them to obey whatsoever he commanded, and that he's with us till the end of the age. And so the end of that age is coming, and what the Bible tells us is that there's going to be a judgment at the end of that age, and God's going to judge every single person. And so what's he looking for when he judges those people? Well, it goes back to the vision, which is to transform lives. And so what does it mean to transform lives in the Christian faith? It means that Jesus comes in and makes you a new person. And so we have to ask ourselves, how can Jesus make us a new person? Why do we need to be a new person? Well, it goes back to the Garden of Eden, where God made everything beautiful, and he called it good. And if a holy person calls something good, that means it's perfect. And so it was perfect. And he gave Adam and Eve one command, to not eat from a certain tree, and they disobeyed that command and brought sin upon all mankind. And because of that sin, God's judgment is coming. But also the thing is we can't have fellowship with God. We can't have fellowship with the one who created us in his own image. And so as a result of man's failure and to obey God's command, God had to send him out of the garden. And so from that point forward up until now, we're separated from God as human beings because we're born as sinners. But then when we look at the transformation part, how does that happen? God made a way. He made a way in a manger. God became a human being, and he came to earth. He was born of a virgin, Mary, but he wasn't born by Joseph. He was conceived by the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is God, who is holy. And so Jesus was born holy. He was born without sin. And in the Jewish faith and in the laws, they had to make sacrifices for their sins. And God gave them that command to sacrifice for their sins. Jesus, as one being born holy and who also was a perfect man, he lived the life. Is that my time? Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Jenny Smith.
Welcome.
Hello, school board. There's a lot of people who want to speak to y'all tonight, so I'm going to be brief. I am Jenny Smith. I live on Hebron Church Road and the most beautiful street in Oconee County. I can choose to allow my kids to participate in student-led organizations or not. If I don't like it, I have 6 students in Oconee County Schools currently and have been in this school system for nearly a decade. Never once has participation been forced on any of my kids for any extracurricular club. We have clearly known and understood these clubs to be optional organizations separate from the school. Student-led clubs and organizations create community, encourage leadership, and add value to student life. Not a single club, ones I like and ones I dislike, have mandatory participation. It's a simple personal choice to attend or not. It would be a huge loss and detriment to the student body of Oconee County to take student-led clubs away from them at any grade level and at any school. With 6 students in 3 different Oconee County schools, we fully support student-led groups, especially FCA. The opposition to student-led clubs, to my understanding, has no children in the educational system any longer. They've already graduated after having full access to any clubs that they wanted to join. Removing these clubs has no impacts on him or his loved ones. In my house, with 6 students, including a 5-year-old who is 4 days into his educational experience, it would have massive impacts. We stand in support of student-led clubs, especially FCA, for every student in Oconee County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Laurel Alberti.
Welcome.
My name is Laurel Alberti, and I live at 1400 Ryland Hills Lane. And we're going to talk about the truth. Jesus says, "Let the little children come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child shall not enter it." That's Luke 18:16 through 17. Jesus says, "Whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters." Luke 11:23. Jesus says, "But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and to the evil. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful." Luke 6:35 through 36. Jesus says, "I have not come to call the righteous, but the sinners to repent." Luke 5:32. As he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light shone around him from heaven. Then he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Acts 9:3-4. Jesus says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Luke 23:34.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Caleb Antoine.
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Caleb Antoine. I'm a senior at Oconee County High School, and I'd like to begin by first thanking the board for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and second, acknowledging my respect for Mr. Lawrence, who has voiced his concerns about FCA. I believe it's not only a right, but a responsibility of us to try and improve the institutions around us, and I believe we're all here tonight to do just that, regardless of how we think that ought to be done. With that being said, I've been involved in FCA since I was in 3rd grade. I've been in FCA leadership teams ever since then, and last year I had the privilege of serving as the president of FCA at Oconee County High School. As someone who experienced leadership through FCA in elementary school, I believe for someone to say that an elementary school student is too young to lead their peers or learn how to do such is underestimating the ability of their young minds. FCA began in this county when a group of elementary school students got together and went to the principal's office and asked how they could start FCA in their school. By nature, FCA has always been student-led in this county. No one is too young to learn how to lead their peers, and FCA is important because it allows students to do just that. It allows them to develop important leadership skills and communication skills in the context of something which they are passionate about, which is their faith. faith is an integral part of mine and many other students in this county's lives, and I believe it would be a real shame if we were unable to have a club devoted to our faith simply because we were deemed too young or simply because we were in a school setting. No one is too young to learn how to lead, as I've said. No one is too young to be able to pursue their passions, especially if they're passionate about faith. I remember in elementary school being excited about going to FCA huddles and meetings because not only was it a place where I could hang out with my friends, but also a place where I could talk about the greatest decision I ever made, which was to follow Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I was zealous about my faith in elementary school, and I still am today, and there are students all around this county who are equally as zealous as I was, no matter how young they are. Denying these students the ability to have FCA denies them the ability not only to pursue their passions, but also denies them the ability to learn important skills that the future needs. FCA is all about creating leaders. FCA's core values listed on their website are service, integrity, teamwork, and excellence. These values are values that are needed in this country, in this world, and as we look into the future, these elementary schoolers and middle schoolers and high schoolers today are going to be the leaders of future businesses, families, and churches. FCA strives to create better leaders for our future, and every year I've experienced how FCA does that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephen Alshire.
Welcome.
I'm Stephen Elshire, a happy taxpayer, Oconee County. I am strongly supporting the FCA despite what you may hear in the following remarks. You're witnessing in real time the long march of the left and their ultimate goals of a utopia for socialism, Marxism, and frankly, communism. This is scary in Oconee County. Many on the left don't even realize the social current they're swimming in. For some, it probably comforts them to think that they're somehow intellectually and even morally superior, despite them promoting these leftist ideologies. I've spent a great deal of my life thinking about higher spiritual concerns. I've gone through various religious adherences and major religions, considering from very conservative Christianity as a child in Virginia to agnosticism to cafeteria Catholicism and briefly dabbling in Buddhism. I got through all that all right, and I'm back. Satanic worship was once espoused literally by a speaker at the Board of Commissioners in this county. Satanic worship has not yet widely caught on. I suspect that its very nihilistic nature, and at least some, is somewhat limiting to its appeal. Everyday people need hope in their lives. Ethical guidance is a cornerstone of larger religions. Ethical guidance is provided in such associations as the FCA. Those who would ban prayer in public, even a moment of respectful silence, seek to control human behavior, itself a grasp at power and control, a la the French guy Foucault. Depending on your version of why Satan was cast from heaven, it ultimately seems to have been a power struggle. Everyone has a constitutional right to free speech and free association. Freedom of religion, even devil worship, is assured, for better or worse. Capitulating to people who have some anger or even hatred of religious tolerance will be ill-advised, and I hope this board does not do that. Lessons learned from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes will last a lifetime for those participants. High moral values need encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Brett Thomas.
Welcome.
Members of the board, educators, community leaders, and fellow residents of this amazing Oconee County. I am Brett Thomas, a huddle coach at Collin Ferry Elementary FCA. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm here to discuss the benefits of FCA, particularly for our elementary age students. I understand that there are diverse perspectives in our community, including those who may not share the Christian faith. However, I believe that FCA offers unique benefits that extend beyond our religious beliefs, providing value to all students regardless of their faith backgrounds. First and foremost, FCA fosters character development. At the elementary level, children are in the formative years of their moral and ethical development. FCA emphasizes core values such as respect, integrity, and perseverance, values that are universally recognized as essential for personal growth and success. These principles are taught not just through words, but through action, helping students internalize these lessons in ways that prepare them for the future. Secondly, FCA promotes inclusivity and a sense of belonging. While its foundation is Christian, FCA welcomes all students who wish to participate. It offers a safe, supportive environment where students can connect with others, building friendships based on mutual respect and shared goals. In a time when bullying and social isolation are real concerns, FCA provides a positive alternative, a place where every child feels valued and included. Moreover, FCA encourages healthy, active lifestyles. We all know the importance of physical activity for young children. FCA combines athletics with mentorship, encouraging kids to stay active, develop teamwork skills, and learn about the importance of physical and mental well-being. These benefits translate directly into the classroom, as healthier, more active students are often better learners. But perhaps most importantly, FCA promotes the development of responsible citizens within its core values of integrity, service, teamwork, and excellence. Through service projects, community involvement, and emphasis of ethical behavior, FCA teaches students the importance of giving back and being responsible members of society. These are lessons that go far beyond any religious context. They are about building a generation of young people who care about their communities and strive to make it better. I understand the concern about maintaining the separation of church and state, and I want to assure you that FCA respects this boundary. Participation is entirely voluntary, and the program operates outside of instructional time. For those who choose to engage, FCA is extracurricular activity that offers students a space to explore and grow in ways that complement their educational and personal development. In conclusion, while FCA is grounded in Christian values, its impact reaches far beyond religious instruction. It offers character-building opportunities, fosters a sense of community, encourages healthy living, and helps shape our students into responsible, engaged citizens. These are benefits that serve our entire school community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Catherine Thomas.
Welcome.
I'm reading a letter on behalf of a parent who could not be here this evening. Dear esteemed members of the Oconee County Board of Education, first, I would like to thank each of you for your valuable hard work serving on our local school board. Oconee County Schools is an outstanding school system, and that's in no small part due to the commitment, knowledge, and hard work that you are putting in each and every day. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to all parties regarding the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. My son is one of the student leaders for FCA at Collin Ferry Elementary. He and the other student leaders gather for regular leadership meetings, help make decisions about what activities FCA has coming up, help plan events and serve at events, and help find engaging speakers for the large group meeting dates for 3rd through 5th graders at their school. Being an FCA leader has helped my son learn important leadership and organizational skills and has given him confidence. Being a part of FCA has also helped my son to focus on loving and serving others. These are skills he can carry with him into middle school next year and beyond. Like other clubs, FCA is completely optional. No one is forced to attend an FCA meeting. They are simply invited, like any student would be invited to join any club at the school. I had the privilege to attend some Collin Ferry FCA meetings last year, and they are very well attended. The last meeting I was at had nearly 100 students present, so it is definitely a club that the student body at Collin Ferry enjoys and wants to attend. It would be a great mistake and tragedy to take FCA away from the student body of our local elementary schools, considering that many of the students clearly want to attend FCA. Finally, I would like to point out that FCA, along with any other religiously affiliated club, is protected by the Equal Access Act, which became law in 1984. While Congress recognizes the constitutional prohibition against government promotion of religion, non-school sponsored student speech, including religious speech, should not be excised from the school environment. The Supreme Court, by a vote of 8-1, held in Westside Community Schools versus Mergen in 1990 that the Equal Access Act is constitutional. The courts have provided guidelines designated to help board members and other leaders understand religious freedoms allowed in public schools. I can attest that my son is one of the student leaders at FCA. As a student-led organization, FCA's members have rights protected by the Constitution and the Equal Access Act. The organization does not pose any type of safety risk to students or staff requiring any type of local school intervention. I trust that the Oconee County School Board will continue to protect our students' freedoms to organize clubs, including FCA. We have an awesome school system comprised of many types of students. Some of those students are Christian. Christian students who choose to organize themselves into a club like FCA deserve equal protection. We're not asking for preferential treatment, just equal treatment. Again, thanks for all you do for our local schools, student, faculty, and administrators. You're doing an amazing job. Sincerely, Ashley Stroop, parent to 1 graduate and 3 current students in the Oconee County School District.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Sissy Watson.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Branch, Ms. Argo, board. First of all, I would just really like to commend you for the way that you're recognizing so many of the young people in the county. And I know this is a regular occurrence with the board when you meet. And I would just submit to you that the kids that have walked across here today are like, you're just so excited for each of them for excelling in their area, whatever that might be. So I'm here today to ask you to please continue to allow student-led organizations within the school system. I moved here for the school system of Oconee. I had family too, so that was nice. But we moved here and we couldn't have been happier. My son was in the first class when North Oconee opened its doors, and I've had 3 kids that have graduated, and it has been such a tremendous experience. And part of that is because of the very heart that we heard just this evening, rigor, relevance, and relationships. And when you allow student-led organizations within the school system, you're giving them a safe environment to practice being a leader. Nothing could be better for them. A lot of the kids will stay here in Oconee County, and many will go on to various parts of the U.S. and the world. And you are creating deep roots for them to be loved and to express their individualism as leaders within the organization. So I would like to ask you to continue to do that. In addition, I would just like to thank you for creating an environment that fosters individual leadership. I just think it is so important. So thank you for all you do and have done. Oconee has been such a fantastic place for me to raise my kids, and thank you for what you're doing to make it stay that way.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Archie Crenshaw.
Welcome.
On behalf of my 8 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren, I want to take a moment to say thank you to you folks who have created the premier school system in the state of Georgia. We moved here back in 1988, and we absolutely love living in Oconee County. And one of the reasons we came here was because of your splendid school system. And the reason our real estate executives continue to do well is because of what you are providing here in terms of providing for educating their youngsters. So let me just make a couple of brief points. Point number 1 is Oconee County school system is the envy of every school system in our state. And I encourage you to continue your commitment to student success through student-led organizations. And secondly, as badly as our nation, our state and our county needs good leadership. These organizations that are student-led give these young people the opportunity to become a president or a vice president or a secretary or otherwise a leader in this organization. And who knows, but that in time we'll have another governor in the state of Georgia from Oconee County. God bless.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Dave Tangren.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. Excuse me while I shake out my podium jitters. Thank you, all of you, for the obvious support you've given to FCA over the course of the years. It's very evident by the students in this room who've shown up in attendance to support the program that they clearly value very highly. I don't have a whole lot to say that you haven't heard from other people. Other than that, if the concern of legality of FCA is in question, particularly whether the age of consent of students who are involved or their ability to participate in a student-led organization is a question, then I think we have plenty of evidence that that is not the case with third graders to fifth graders. This is evidenced by many children who we see in our churches in this county who voluntarily choose to get baptized. This includes my son, who earlier this summer got baptized at our local church over the challenges of his mom and I, who said, are you sure you're ready for this? And he said, yeah, Dad, I was the one, and he came and chased me, and now I'm on to the 99, and I want to help him chase other people. So I'm very much now looking forward to him being in FCA like some of the other students we have in this room. And just thank you for your support. It's got to be a worthy cause to get this much of the community out in support of a program like this. And I think for that, we owe some thanks to the people who've challenged it in the first place and caused us to think about this. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
The next citizen is Craig Moses.
Welcome.
Hello, Board. Craig Moses, Oconee citizen here. Thank you for the time to speak with you guys tonight. Again, I don't have a lot to say that hasn't already been said. I served in the military. We have a lot of core values that mirror some of the values that FCA has. I was a coach at Collin Ferry. I watched some of these students in FCA start out and grow over the years to become leaders, and it's good to see the growth in these kids. Also coach baseball, and we're not only teaching these kids how to play ball, but also teamwork, personal skills, and how to become a man, right? How to become a good citizen. These are all values that FCA teaches and instills, and it would be a shame for that to go away. So I implore you, please keep it here. I just, we've got the community here behind us, and it would be a shame to see this go away. Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
The next citizen is Deborah Galvin.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Deborah Galvin. I live on Flat Rock Road. I'm not sure whose decision this was to consider taking FCA out of the elementary schools, but I'm assuming that you all will be the ones voting on that. Is that correct? As to whether or not that will be removed from the elementary schools?
Right now, there's no decision to take it out. We're just hearing public comments on FCA in general.
Okay, because I understood it was going to be decided to whether or not to pull it from the elementary schools. And I no longer have children in this county. I'm actually the only member of my whole family that lives in this county. But both of my boys did attend all the way through, and they had a great experience. They took part in Young Life and FCA, made them wonderful, reliable, trustworthy human beings, and they've got great careers now. And I would hate to see that taken out of the elementary school. That is the time when they're the most vulnerable, the most impressionable, and they need that guidance. And to remove that from the elementary school system would be totally wrong in the kind of world we're living in now. They need every tool they have to fight against all this evil that's out there. And if you don't leave it there, they don't have a shot. They're the youngest. They're the ones that need us the most. They're the ones that Jesus said for us to take care of and protect. And I think it would be a travesty if there is a vote, and I don't know who it would be to vote, but will there be a list as to who votes yes or no? And if so, where would you publish it? And if not, why not? Because I would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next citizen is Tom Hurd.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Oconee County School Board members. My name is Tom Hurd, and I am a resident of Oconee County. I'm here tonight to show my support for FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, to be available to students in our county. My grandchildren have enjoyed attending FCA meetings prior to school at Dove Creek Elementary. They've been learning leadership skills. It's been talked about the importance of being a good classmate, being a positive member of society, as well as the values of character and integrity, which have already been shared. They've also learned the importance of being a positive influence in their own family. FCA embraces the student-led model, which is very helpful for my grandchildren to see older classmates lead and share about these key principles, including learning about God. FCA's ability to assemble is protected under our First Amendment rights as U.S. citizens, as we have freedom of religion and not freedom from religion. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address the board tonight. I appreciate your support of FCA. God bless.
Thank you.
The next citizen is David Lawrence.
Welcome.
Hello, board. It's great to see everybody. Dr. Branch, how are you, sir? Great to see you. This is awesome because I taught so many of these kids, and they have a First Amendment right to come, and you parents, and talk like they've been doing. Very proud of everybody who's done that. Here's the rub. Here's the problem. And I didn't understand this until there were some other rubs at a middle school with a bulletin board that we were alerted to. I think that was rectified. So it's been a while since I did a lesson plan. Originally, I asked for 10 minutes and that was denied, which is fine. My name is David Lawrence. I live in Bishop, Georgia. Dr. Branch, board members, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. It is hard. But we are a team of citizens, parents, and kids whom I love all dearly. Despite their upbringing, their political influence, what religion they are, who their parents voted for, I love every kid equally. And those kids need to be heard. So it's my contention that you, the school board and Dr. Branch, are not abiding by your own board policies. I asked for them to be projected up here, but I have someone behind me who will show you why that is the case. In elementary schools here in the county, as someone will read in a minute, the board policies are very clear. I have absolutely no problem with FCA, none whatsoever. My mother was a Presbyterian. My father was Southern Baptist. I don't know that they had FCA or not, but I heard things like that. My concern, along with other parents, teachers, and citizens, is that you are ignoring some of the most complex, sacred, and moral issues, as has been these people have been a testament to, with families deal with their children, religion especially, but more recently, politics too. That is also protected by the First Amendment. Elementary students notice when a group is meeting in their media center because it's closed and a faculty member is there supervising a club. They ask questions and think it's unfair that they cannot check in books or check out books like every other morning. Then they ask, what's happening in there? Kids are curious, thankfully. And who makes a decision about these elementary student clubs being allowed to form? The school building principal does, according to your policy. And that is an extreme amount of pressure on that principal. Balancing federal, state, and local laws and board policies with First Amendment freedoms is hard enough for constitutional lawyers, especially in these times. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next citizen is Amy Lawrence.
Welcome.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Amy Lawrence, wife of David Lawrence, and I live in Oconee County. Right here, and most of you guys, or some of you guys, have a copy of this with you because we couldn't put it on the board here, of the Oconee County School Board Policy Regulation of Student Clubs. So if you guys want to follow along, I'll read some of the highlights. The Board of Education regards student clubs and organizations as an important part of the education and development of students. This policy is adopted through the Equal Access Act. As used in this policy, school shall mean any secondary school in the school system. Club shall mean a sponsored club or a non-sponsored club of students. Sponsored club shall mean a club that is directly under the sponsorship, direction, and control of the school. Non-sponsored club shall mean a student-initiated club that is not under the sponsorship, direction, or control of the school. The school shall provide equal access and fair opportunity for clubs to organize and meet on school premises. The school shall not sponsor clubs that advocate particular religious, political, or philosophical beliefs or ideas. Any such clubs shall be non-sponsored and must engage a school employee to monitor their activities while on the premises. Any club whose activities are deemed by the principal to be disruptive of everyday operations of the school will not be allowed to initiate, meeting, nor continue to meet on the school premises. The following general guidelines will be observed in approving, establishing, and operating student clubs at the schools in the system. Each new club must complete and submit a request form to the principal or designee stating the name, specific purpose of the club, the membership requirements, the activities of the club, and meeting dates and times. The principal or designee and/or student council, if applicable, will respond to the request, accept or reject the application, and designate the club as either a sponsored club or non-sponsored club. The principal or designee may deny the opportunity of any club to meet on school premises. The principal may temporarily or permanently terminate the opportunity of any club to meet on school premises in the future if the club has materially and substantially interfered with the orderly conduct of educational activities within the school, if the activities of the club have violated any law or ordinance, or if the club has violated any provision of this policy. I'm done, I guess.
Thank you.
The next citizen is Preston Henry.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Preston Henry. I live on Robin Hood Road. I heard that neighborhood's really great in the 1980s. We like it now. Thank you, Dr. Branch, the board, for having us. So we already know there's extremely solid legal backing for non-sponsored and sponsored student-led organizations. FCA is below the line non-sponsored organization. So heard some very clear guidelines in the previous speaker. And then as I think about FCA is a non-sponsored event. It seems like we're checking those boxes for that event. for that club. That club meets before school, not after, so there's no special privilege as far as after-school care and things like that. There's other clubs that sound fantastic, like the Young Democrat Club, the Young Republican Club. And the first thing I took away is we don't have enough clubs. I think we need more clubs that bring more good attributes, just like FCA and the other ones listed. The principal should have no pressure at all hosting FCA. So if there is FCA at the school and there's some sort of pressure, I would want to hear that feedback as a citizen. I have 3 kids in Oconee Middle, Oconee Primary, and I want to know if they're feeling pressure. I also didn't know that there was FCA option at Oconee Primary or elementary. I guess elementary would be the first one eligible. So I'm excited to teach my kids about how to start an organization and bring more leadership qualities to their school. I thought it would be helpful to know maybe what is discussed in FCA, because as a Christian, I can speak to some of those things. I think simply everyone said very accurately all the things that Jesus has said. He also said to love your neighbor as yourself. All right, so if you love your neighbor as yourself, and when I say teach, these are students teaching students, or I think they're allowed to bring in like a youth pastor to facilitate that conversation if they followed all the rules, and I think that's happening. And so in that situation, what does it look like? Well, it means sitting with a lonely student if no one's sitting with them at lunch and just visiting with them. That's loving your neighbor as yourself. It means respecting your teacher. If your teacher gives you instruction, you say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and you do it. My kids obey their teachers better than they obey me. Playing well with others on the playground. So just swinging, taking turns, having a good time. I always want to ask my kids, how did the playground go? Because that's where the most drama is. For sports, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So how does it impact you on the field? Well, you're going to work hard for your team. You're going to listen to your coaches. You're going to treat other teams with respect, even North Oconee if you're on the blue side. Can we have a Martin Luther King club? Absolutely. An Abraham Lincoln club? Absolutely. We could study the virtues of those historical figures just like we study the virtues of Jesus. So I fully support FCA, following all the rules. I really like this, 3rd grade and up. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Josie Nix.
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Josie Nix. I'm a junior student athlete at North Oconee, where I compete in both track and cross country. I was first introduced to the FCA ministry when I was in middle school at MBMS. I had just moved counties, and this ministry is part of what really got me connected to the community. From the start, I felt welcomed, and I looked forward to every Friday where I was able to be encouraged and to be an encouragement to my peers. All of our speakers who came and the testimonies and music I heard was always so uplifting to my heart. Not only that, but most of the talks were centered around athletics and how to be a better competitor and teammate, all of which are topics that are up my alley. I've continued to be involved in FCA throughout my schooling, and I have never felt personally harmed or heard of anything in this ministry that was detrimental to the inner person. The amount of encouragement and love that I feel from this ministry is so great, and it's hard to put it into words. FCA has made it easy for me to walk out and live my faith amongst my teammates and competitors. Through this, I have learned to walk in the fruits of the Spirit, which Galatians 5:22 tells us is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Not just amongst my teammates have I experienced this fruit, but also it has been shown in the ways in which I am a daughter, a sister, and friend. I truly love this ministry so deeply, and the ways in which it has blessed me is something I could never repay. Because of this, it is a joy to give back as I plan on serving the High Shoals Elementary School huddle this year. In this role, I'll be helping to plan huddles, interacting with the kids, and being a student sponsor for them, so hopefully they can become leaders in this way as well. I truly feel called to this ministry, and it will always be a significant part in my life and have a great impact on the community. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Katie Green.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Katie Green, and I live on Forest Road, also in that 80s community in Watkinsville. I'm running for post 5 of the school board this year as well. While this is a little bit off topic from what everybody else has talked about, I'll bring it back. I believe in the importance of elections at every level, from the local level to the national level. And Oconee County Schools has hundreds of students who are eligible to vote for the first time this year, which is pretty exciting in this November election. The official code of Georgia 21-2-215 says, quote, "Principals, assistant principals, and their designees shall inform their students and employees of the available of voter registration and shall provide reasonable and convenient procedures to enable such persons who are qualified applicants to register." Being that a lot of us in this room are concerned about local politics and the things that affect our lives every day on a local level, I would just be interested to know what Oconee County High School and North Oconee High School have planned to satisfy the state requirement and assist our newest voters in registering. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Grady Ricard.
Welcome.
Hello, I'm Grady Reichard. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm a proud husband and father of 4 kids. My oldest is 6 and is in Collin Ferry Middle School. So I am really here tonight to represent my kids that are coming up through the school system, and my strong belief that those organizations that exist today should still exist as they have the opportunity to move through the school system. In short, I think school serves a purpose to educate, and the reason education is so important is because it provides everybody opportunity. Without an education, you don't have an opportunity, and I don't think as a school system we should eliminate opportunities for our kids to thrive and succeed. I think the school clubs and organizations that exist, like we had mentioned prior, the more the better, honestly. I think that's a great thing. And Josie, who spoke earlier, she's actually babysat my 4 kids, and we have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So that's a lot of responsibility to trust someone like that. But you know, she did a great job, and we honestly would love to have her around more, but it just goes to show her leadership and being able to jump in and being a part of the community here. And I think a large part of that is probably what she learned through the organizations that she's been a part of in the school system. So I stand in support of FCA as well as other organizations in the school system, and hope there's still opportunities for my kids as they grow older. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Amber Smith.
Welcome.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for letting me the opportunity to speak tonight. I grew up in Oconee, graduated as a Warrior, OG. And I also have 2 kids coming up in the school system now. And my husband was born and raised here. Coming to Oconee not only changed my life, but it has brought me back here and wanting to stay because of the principles that Oconee was founded on. And to see something that's been in the community for so long be tried, it hurts. And I know that a lot of people are hurting. So I just want you to remember that there are a lot of opportunities for the kids growing up in this school system that don't have the opportunities in other places in Georgia. And a lot of people move here for those opportunities and what we're offering the students now. And to change those things are not only going to make our county unwanting to be here, but we're not going to be able to grow. And I know that that is one of the biggest things in our future. I can see it everywhere with all the houses being built and new schools being built. People come here because of the things that have always been here. And those things should stay. And if that's clubs, opportunities for kids to grow and be leaders, I graduated in 2008, joined the Georgia Army National Guard, and I've been in the National Guard for over 16 and a half years. And it has been an honor to serve my community, and I may go to 30 so that I can pull my retirement right away. But I've always been able to overcome certain things in life because of the leadership that I was taught in Oconee County schools. And to take that opportunity away from students to learn how to be leaders would be detrimental to our county. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Andy Wilson.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. First, I want to say thanks to Dr. Branch and the rest of the board. It's a privilege to be able to speak with the people who have spoken already tonight, and I'm just here speaking in support of FCA. My name is Andy Wilson. I live on Ramsar Drive. I did live on Robin Hood Road when I was born in the early 80s. I'm currently an ophthalmologist in town, and my wife and I have 3 kids in Oconee County, one who just started Malcolm Ridge Middle School last Wednesday, and 2 at Malcolm Ridge Elementary. And I want to say we have thoroughly enjoyed being in Oconee County and appreciate what you do. I've had the privilege of serving as like a speaker at FCA in the past. I literally would not be the same person without the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. My wife and I met through FCA. I was a part of it in college and like public schools growing up as well in Columbus, Georgia. And when I was just listening to one of the students talking about like the fruit of the Spirit of love and joy and peace and patience and goodness and kindness and faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, I was just thinking, what teacher would not want their student to have that kind of character, that kind of integrity in their classroom? What administrator would not love to see a student like that? I was listening to another student talk about the FCA core values of service, integrity, teamwork, excellence, all these things that we value, we hold highly, that will help them not only in school now, but it'll help them when my kids, not when I'm looking at my 11-year-old Asa, but I'm raising him to think, what is he going to be like when he's 16, when he's 18, when he's 22, when he's 30? What decisions is he going to make? I feel like that organizations such as FCA do nothing but promote positive values in our school district, in our school systems, and just like Preston said earlier, other organizations do the same. It's just FCA is completely optional. It is certainly not forced on any student, and I'm just proud to be a part of this county and would really hate to see it go away. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Ron Blunt.
Welcome.
So I don't have kids in Oconee County schools. I never have. But this forum is such an important topic that I could not show up. I wore my 1776 shirt today. I have on the sleeve, there's the American flag. On the back, there's an outline of the American flag. And if you look carefully, the inscription is the Declaration of Independence. On the day the Declaration of Independence was signed, the Liberty Bell rang. And the inscription on the Liberty Bell was, "Proclaim liberty throughout the land to all the inhabitants thereof." It's from the book of Leviticus. My concern is that freedoms not exercised are freedoms very quickly lost. And we have, as a group of people, my concern is that we have taken the freedoms that have been handed down to us by this revolutionary generation for granted. We've assumed that they weren't that important. We've assumed that they didn't need to be defended and fought for. The people who were part of that revolutionary generation, they pledged to each other. They went up against the biggest army in the world. There was no reason that they should have won except the hand of God and divine providence guiding them every step along the way. They pledged to each other their life, their fortune, and their sacred honor. So I'm here to pledge to the people here, the students, the parents, and the other citizens of Oconee County, the same thing. I don't want it to stop at this level. You and I have inherited a thing of great value, a thing of great worth. And it's up to us to be links in that chain, to take what was given to us and be willing to defend it and to hand it on to this next generation and those beyond them. The men that were founded our country are heroes to me. I think that there are heroes in this room who are willing to stand, willing to speak, to show up, to stand up, and to speak up. Doesn't mind if you're eloquent. I didn't write anything down before coming here today. I've been working in the yard all day long. But I want these children here to be inspired by the same blood, the same spirit that flowed through George Washington and Samuel Adams and Thomas Jefferson's veins. And I want them to hand it then to their children. Okay.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Pam Hendricks.
Welcome.
Good evening. It's so wonderful to see so many people here tonight. As y'all know, often I'm one of the only people here. And I've just been on kind of a mission to speak for the taxpayers of Oconee County and try to get our school system to be a bit more fiscally responsible. I will say that just hearing from some of these young people just gives me such hope for the future. And I know we're going to be okay. But I also just want to start by saying I did not like hearing my local newspaper thrown under the bus earlier. I'm very grateful to our local newspaper because that's how I often learn of things that I need to come speak to this board about. And I just want to remind the board that if you had not chosen to raise property taxes for the third year in a row, we wouldn't be even having to have these public hearings, and we wouldn't be arguing about the size of the ad. So please, and I came here tonight to kind of talk about the most recent thing that's happened, which you've renewed the superintendent's contract recently. And this happens every year, even though he gets a 3-year contract. So there's several things about that bother me. The first thing, you renewed his contract last week for, he now makes $267,039. That is up 5.5% from the year before. I just have an interesting thing to point out. The state superintendent of schools, Richard Woods, over the entire state only makes $129,519. I just don't understand. The next thing, I did a study of superintendent salaries. I shared it with some of the board members, and the very first one on this study was Washington County. Well, if y'all know Washington County, it's a tiny county. It has 3,084 students, and they paid their superintendent $784,090. And we were like, what in the world? So we actually called Washington County, and I'll tell you what happened to them. They wanted to get rid of their superintendent. They had to buy him out of his contract. That's what happens when you have 3-year contracts. Yet you're renewing it every year. So we're going to have to buy someone out of a contract to ever get rid of a superintendent. So just keep that in mind. I also do not feel like the board is following its own policies once again. The contract, and I think you don't have a committee on the board that looks at employee compensation or anything. So I really think, the superintendent is preparing his own contract and you're just rubber stamping it. And the big thing in it is it says in paragraph 7, goals and objectives, that the board and superintendent will meet annually to establish goals and objectives, and they shall be in writing. And those don't appear to be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Seth Welch.
Welcome.
Hey, good evening, Board. Good to see y'all here tonight. My name is Seth Welch. I'm a resident here in Oconee County. I have a daughter in 7th grade and a son in 5th grade, one at Oconee Middle, one at Oconee Elementary. My daughter is currently involved in the FCA program at Oconee Middle, and based on her experience about wanting to get up and go to school on those days that FCA meets, is definitely a positive experience. I do not have to get her out of bed to make sure that she gets to school on time. We've heard from numerous people, numerous parents, numerous representatives here in the county, but FCA emphasizes respect and tolerance by welcoming students of all backgrounds and beliefs. It promotes core values such as teamwork, integrity, and leadership, which align with educational goals we all share for our students. As a volunteer coach in the community for numerous rec programs, middle school athletes, I can see that this is very, very important. By providing a supportive environment, FCA fosters a sense of belonging and encourages students to develop their personal values in a constructive way. We all know that that is needed at this time in our schools. A sense of belonging is more important right now more than any. Allowing FCA in our elementary schools is not just about supporting one group. It's about upholding the principles of inclusivity and respect for all students' rights to express their beliefs. Thank you for your time and consideration. I know your time is valuable. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Justin Wright.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I want to start out with reading a scripture from Matthew 24, verses 9. Jesus said, "You will be persecuted and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers." All over this country, we've seen persecution of Christians, maybe not being killed, but we've seen it. And as Mr. Lawrence, his point, he's trying to take FCA out of schools, and
Not true. Elementary school.
Don't talk to him, talk to the board.
but as behalf of the whole organization of FCA, we will say we will stand up. We will be the salt and the light in our schools. Since I've been in FCA, nobody has forced me, or before I was in FCA, nobody forced me to come. Nobody forced anything on me. Now that I'm on leadership, though we may ask people if they want to come in on Friday mornings to come hear whoever may be speaking, we don't force them to. We ask them, and if they say no, we pray for them and we move on. And we leave it to them. But as Jesus calls us to be, we will be the salt and the light in our schools and in the world. And we are not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we never will be in the FCA organization and the county of Oconee. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Kylie Cass.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. My name's Kylie. I run track and I play flag football at Oconee High School. I'm a junior. FCA has just always been a huge part of my life. I remember being in elementary school and going since 3rd or 4th grade, and just remembering, like, that was the first time I experienced unapologetic worship. And since then, I've grown up in FCA in my school, and freshman year, I started doing leadership, and actually, at a FCA camp, I got saved and baptized. And without that, I wouldn't be the same person, and I wouldn't be up here speaking. I've learned a lot from FCA, which public speaking is one, but just so much leadership stuff. Just lots of leadership stuff and lots of friendships that I wouldn't have without FCA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Matt Patrick.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the board
I came here, I have 4 kids, they're all athletes, we go to church. Man, I'm getting emotional already. And I thought I might be the only person here to defend FCA. And I come and there's a whole room, you can't even get in here. There's people in the overflow room and there's students here and a young man who's led FCA. My son was one of the leaders in 5th grade last year in elementary school. And I was so proud of him for doing that. And I hope that he gets the opportunity to continue on through middle school and through high school. I asked him, I said, what do you do in FCA? He goes, I love how kids can come together every Friday to sing songs and praise the Lord and play games. So it's important to him. Now, my daughter, she's in 4th grade, or she was in 4th grade. She's going into 5th grade this year. She's got the opportunity now to be a leader, to learn the leadership roles that it takes to be, to plan, to help the meetings go smooth, to take that opportunity to really grow as a student. We also have a 2nd grader. Next year, he gets to participate in FCA. He's excited. He was jealous last year that he didn't get one of the FCA t-shirts that they got in elementary school. And I have a little kindergartner, too. And what a better school system that they're in now because they have an FCA organization that they can have their big brother and sister learning the values that FCA stands for, being the leaders that they need to be in the school district. And she gets a better school because of that. So I think it's really important that Christian athletes have a place that they can go and they can belong. But it's also open to everyone, and nobody's forced to go. Nobody's made to go. My kids weren't made to go to FCA. They love it. They want to go. They're excited to go to school early on Friday so they can go. So I'd like the board just to consider that and make sure that we keep FCA in our schools. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ms. Ergo, that concludes public communication.
Thank you.
From a legal advice perspective of our policies and our practices.
Yes, sir. We have spoken with our legal guidance, and they assure us that we are within the guidelines to allow student-led organizations at our elementary. The equal access law applies to 6 through 12 organizations. There is no federal law on K through 5. There is court precedent that allows student-led organizations at all levels, as long as this board and this community allows all students to have the choice of whatever student-led organization that is. So you cannot exclude any student-led organization, but you can allow student organizations. This was questioned in 2002, and our attorneys answered to the Freedom from Religious Foundation at that point, stating, "It is certainly understood that the equal access does not apply to elementary schools, but I am not aware of any authority that suggests that elementary students cannot make reasonable decisions or that an elementary student-sponsored club is per se unconstitutional because it's religious in nature." That is the legal guidance we have received.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I was going to take advantage of the large crowd that we had for a change. Unfortunately, some were eager to leave, but I am just so thankful for the way that everybody came today and presented themselves. Sometimes I think, we have some visitors where it's not always, or it's more adversarial, and they're, just a different environment. And I've often said, and then this meeting has proved that, especially when we go to Georgia School Board Association conferences and we're with people from all over the state, we know how other school systems are, how other boards are, how other communities are. And I have frequently told people that I don't know that I would be in this role in any other county in the state of Georgia, because we are so blessed. And I think everybody here has spoken to that. The students were phenomenal, and that's why we do what we do for them. I think we get a lot of complaints sometimes, and we don't always speak up and defend ourselves, defend the superintendent, defend our excellent educators and staff that we have in this county. We are blessed because we have a great leader, and we have a leader who hires other great leaders. Everybody in our schools is phenomenal, and that's not, we hire him, but we know that the school system is great because of the people in the schools at every level and because of you, because of our community members and our students. And I just wanted to say that, we, try to keep things, a big thing whenever we build a new school and have to redistrict is that we want the experience to be the same at every school. But yet, the individuals that lead those schools have the ability to do what their communities want. And that's so important, that it bubbles up from what's truly important in those local schools. And then, just because of the way that this ended, I wasn't going to say this, but just a few years ago, when I joined the board, a few years after that, we nominated the Oconee Enterprise for a Georgia School Board Association Award, and they won an award. We did that because of the work that we valued their work. Perhaps somewhere that relationship has changed, and I do not know why, but I just think it's important that we start to tell our side of the story because all of y'all have said it for us, and thank you so much for being here.
Anyone else? Well, then I will move on with our agenda. Next on our agenda are action items. Dr.
Yes,
Branch.
Yes, we have two very exciting field trips to discuss. If it pleases the board, we'll go ahead and take those both at the same time. We have a recommendation for Oconee County High School's cross-country to travel to Huntsville, Alabama for a competition. We also have a recommendation for Oconee County High School's field trip for chorus to travel to Orlando, one in September and one in March. So we would recommend those be approved as presented.
We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Ransom?
Second.
Mr. Hammock? All in favor? Passes 5-0. We do have a need to move into executive session and need a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion that the board will adjourn to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon personnel matters as described on the affidavit to be attached to the minutes.
Ms. Parrish?
Second.
Mr. Hammock, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Thank you for attending.